my kako, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of the Moana Nui podcast. We are now on episode 25. My name is Moana McAdams, and I am your host, author of The Adventures of Nakoa and Nohea, and editor for the Wild Card Chronicles comic book series. I am joined by my host, Dana.
Hello, everyone. I am Dana with the Neek events. I am a cosplay event and staff con photographer. So you see me, well, I've seen me in the past at conventions and hopefully soon again in the near future. So we look forward to you enjoying today's special podcast.
Alrighty, guys. So today we are joined by a very special guest, Roye Okupe. If you haven't heard the news yet, Roye has some amazing deals with Dark Horse Comics, and we're just honored to have him here with us. Roye was born in Lagos, Nigeria, and he is an award-winning filmmaker, author, speaker, and entrepreneur whose passion for comics and animation led him to creating his very own company, YouNeek Studios, in 2012. It was an avenue that allowed him to pursue his dream of creating a diverse library of superheroes. Under that umbrella, Roye wrote, produced, and directed several animated productions, including but not limited to the award-winning and critically acclaimed Malika, Warrior Queen animated short. These productions have allowed him to attain many prestigious recognitions, such as being number 5 on Venture Africa's list of 40 African innovators to watch in 2016, as well as being a part of NewAfrican Magazines 100 Most Influential Africans 2 years in a row, which is amazing. So Roye has made it a goal to create a universe of superheroes and fantasy stories inspired by actual African history, culture, and mythology. It's what I loved a whole lot about his series. In 2015, he released his debut graphic novel, E.X.O, The Legend of Wale Williams. That story is set in a futuristic Nigeria. E.X.O was received with critical acclaim and has since been featured on CNN, Forbes, the New York Times, N.B.C, The Guardian, A.B.C, B.B.C, the Huffington Post, Mashable, and more. Like, you want it, he got it. His sophomore graphic novel, Malika, Warrior Queen, also sold more than 40,000 copies during its Diamond Comics free comic book day in 2017. And both of his books have gone on to win several awards, including multiple Glyph Comic Awards and Comic Fist Awards. So as you can see, he has done a lot, and he has done all of this as an independent creator. So that is what makes this so amazing. He's been around for a while. He knows a whole lot about what it takes to be a successful one, and we're happy to have him on the show. So let's bring him on. Hey, Roye.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
All right. Glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for reminding me I have to edit down that bio. It's a little long.
No, but it's good stuff. Like, I was going to edit it, but I was like, it's a lot. Like, you have done a lot, and I wanted to make sure that people really understood your story and, kind of frame it in that way. So, yeah, absolutely. So tell us what's going on lately.
I guess the big news, I'm very, very grateful, and obviously a lot of people have heard about it, to announce that we just signed a 10-book deal with Dark Horse Comics. It's an amazing thing to happen for me. First of all, Dark Horse is an amazing company. I think this is the perfect home for what it is that I'm trying to do moving forward with the YouNeek universe. Just very, very grateful for everyone who has supported me so far. I think it's not an overstatement to say that I wouldn't be here without so many people's help, especially people that have supported me on Kickstarter. Even people like you, Moana. You've been on so many Kickstarters that I've done, like I can't even count anymore. It's almost like an automatic. As a matter of fact, I don't even think you check any description anymore.
Nope.
It's just like, it's just day one backer all the time. But honestly, it's just a testament to when people believe in something, this is what can happen, and to me, it's always been about trying to create stories, although, yes, inspired by African history, culture, and mythology. I created for a global audience. And to me, the focus has always been creating inspiring stories, not just on the page, but outside of the page as well. I always try to be an example of what can happen when you chase your dreams the right way, because I know I've certainly done it the wrong way, and I've had to learn certain things the hard way. But I'm happy that I went through it all, because now I can advise people properly about what to do and what not to do. Trust me, I'm still learning. But yeah, it's been an amazing ride. And honestly, like I told someone the other day, the hard work is just about to begin. So, but that's just the way I'm embracing it. I've always been able to step up to the challenge, and this is not an exception as well.
You talked a little bit about doing things the right way and doing it the wrong way. What would you say was like your biggest challenge along this almost 10-year journey now?
Yeah, there's plenty. As you know, the challenges are never ending. I will say the biggest one, and I'm just going to pick one off the top of my head, because like I said, there's just so many. I think is self-doubt. Believe it or not, even as you achieve success, at least I know for myself, like this, I still go through certain periods where I'm like, I'm not good enough to do this. A lot of times where I have imposter syndrome, and I'm saying as recently as, last year, so this isn't something, I don't think it's ever something that goes away, actually. I think it's just part of the business, at least for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but being able to experience that and experience failure and self-doubt, but be able to pick yourself up, surround yourself with the right people, obviously, and face those failures head on. I think is the best thing that anybody can do, not just a creative person, but anybody that has something that's worth fighting for. That could it could be whatever. It could be a job, it could be a child, it could be a marriage, whatever the case may be. When you believe in something, you fight for it. And anything worth fighting for anything good is worth fighting for. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way I've always seen my career. And I think you learn more from failure than success, honestly. So I've been very, very fortunate to understand from the very beginning that failure is not the end. As a matter of fact, you can use failure to propel yourself to success. It's just a matter of how do what do you do when you fail? Do you quit? Do you internalize that failure? Do you let it define you? Or do you learn from it? Do you become better and, go back out there the next day and, just, pick up where you left off?
Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned was surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
So, in your universe and with all of the books that you've created, one of the things that you do, and I particularly enjoy, is have a creative team that is, from your hometown, home country in Nigeria and in other parts of Africa. How did you identify the right artist? Like, how did you decide who you were going to bring on, and what led you to choose them versus other creators?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, for me, the mission has always been empowering, African creatives and storytelling. And for me, the creative part of it is something that has always been on, a huge proponent of why I do what I do. I mean, as you know, I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. I grew up, in Lagos. The first 16 years of my life, I moved over to the US in 2002. I guess from there you can calculate my age. I'm getting up there. I'm not a young kid anymore. But to me, it's always been about trying to expose the talent back home in Africa, specifically, at least for me, West Africa, because I feel like, just the continent on its own has such a wealth of talent. And it's not just the comic books, animation, video game, filmmaking. And I've always tried to figure out, okay, how do I bring this talent, including myself, to a mainstream audience? So it's something that I take a lot of pride in, is collaborating with, the artists back home and being able to work with them as partners and bring them, to this position where it's like we can all celebrate the success, together as well. So for me, it's something from day one I knew I wanted to do, and I'm happy I've been able to stick with it. In terms of how did I, find the talent, there's a guy that goes by the name of Ayodele Elegba. He's the creator of the Lagos Comic Con that's been going on for 7 years now. He was actually the one that brought me into the Nigerian comic book industry because I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anything. As a matter of fact, before I came from animation. A lot of people don't know this. Like, animation is my first love. And when I failed in that, that's when I decided, look, I don't have money to, do an animation. Where am I going to get millions of dollars to do that? So, why don't I try this comics thing? But for me, it was, finding him and him bringing me and showing me the ropes in terms of these are the people you want to work with, was a huge help for me in terms of, satisfying that desire to be able to work with people, back home and show their work to a global audience.
I can only imagine like what it's like, learning the African, the Nigerian Comic-Con circuit and seeing all the different skill sets, because, I feel like it's there's some misperceptions in terms of like what Nigeria or, Africa itself, the beauty and the talent of the people. And, it's another reason why I was such a big fan of this. As someone who has traveled to Nigeria a couple of times, I haven't been to Lagos, but I've been to Abuja. And I just really enjoyed my time there. The people were really friendly, and it felt very similar to, where I'm from in Hawaii, and just kind of laid back, and people just, enjoy
Right. I mean, it's a great point, and you more than anybody will understand. It's getting better now, but if you look 10, 20 years back, 30 or 40 years, and you look at how mainstream media portrays anything that's not, American or, let me say European, there's always this, stereotypical type of presentation of different cultures. And it doesn't mean that, certain cultures or places don't have their own issues. Every culture has issues, right? There's good, there's bad. If you're looking, you'll find good and bad everywhere. To me, it's always been about providing the balance, and for so long, when you hear about Africa in the news, mainstream specifically, it's either about, poverty, starving children, or, corruption, or crime. And it's not to say that these things don't exist, but that doesn't paint the full picture, right? You've essentially just picked all the negatives and you've decided to use that as what these people are. And I'm sure there are things that you can talk about Moana as well. And Dana, even just, if we look at the African American community, we don't even want to go there tonight. But this is where I feel like entertainment is so powerful, because I think we underestimate, especially for children, how much entertainment shapes your mind, right? I grew up, where it's like, even for me, as someone who grew up in Nigeria, I grew up with a certain sense of, oh, this is how African Americans are because of what I saw on TV. And when I came here, I was like, wait, there's actually more to African Americans than what I saw as, just gangbangers or on TV, because that's all they were portrayed as, or slavery. But this is where, as entertainers and artists, we can step in, where we can, as much as we're trying to entertain people, we can also educate them as well, and be part of the narrative in terms of providing a balance. Like if mainstream is going to continue to feed one type of story, then it's our responsibility to counteract that with another type of story. That is very true. Like, as much as my stories are, fantasy and sci-fi, there are very, very real elements about culture and history that are embedded in it. As a matter of fact, one thing that I pride myself on is in every graphic novel, when you stop at one chapter, I always have chapter breaks that talk about this part is fantasy, but this is the reality. This is where I got this from, and this is a very real thing. And to me, it's always trying to provide that balance between entertainment and education. So people don't look at this and like, oh, this is happening in Malika just because he made it up. No, there are certain things that this is actually based on.
Yep, and I love those breaks in the books because it teaches me about the history.
Right.
And as someone who's like, I just love, especially indigenous history.
Yeah.
It sets me onto different paths in terms of like learning different things about the different tribes. In Malika, you also bring in the Chinese dynasties that were there at the time. I mean, China has a big presence there now, but I had never thought that they've been there forever, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, it's about providing, like I said, a different type of story. But I think one thing that, at least for me, and I think a lot of people as well too, as people that consume, whether it's comics or movies or animation, we love to see different cultures. Is one of the reasons manga and anime was so successful in the 90s. Just like, what is this? Like, where is this coming from? Or, for instance, like, the Greek pantheon, whether it's, Zeus, or even now, like how much a lot of people love Vikings, and Norse mythology because of the TV shows. Like, I'm part of people that after I watch a show, like I go on the internet, like, wait, what's Ragnarok, or who is Ragnar Lothbrok? Like, it's like, and these things are actually based on things that, are in the mythology and the history and the culture, and you get to learn, from that. And I think, fantasy is a great tool to really open people's mind to a different perspective of cultures that they may not experience. Like, everybody can't travel to every part of the world, but everybody has a phone that they can pick up and go on YouTube or open Netflix or HBO Max or Disney Plus and access entertainment and see different cultures that they may not have the privilege of traveling to visit.
Yeah, definitely. I'm one of those people too. Like, oh, who's?
Yeah, I research everything. I research everything, every single thing. My wife is the worst. Like, we watch a show that's based on a true story, and literally she will pause in the middle of that. It's like, oh, I need to know if this guy really did this thing, because if I'm going to hate this person, I want to make sure I'm hating this person for the right reason, and it's not because of fantasy. And she will literally go and research. Oh, he actually did this. I hate you. I find a lot of people do that. Like, we all do that. It's like, we want to know. It's like, oh, what's this based on? And that's just the beauty of entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the age of information, it was different when we were growing up, right? Like, you didn't have access to all of this, but now it's like it's out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the fact how you really went into about the creative control that indie comics tend to have to really bring those aspects out. But the other beauty is, like, you have your books on your own app. And what caused you to do that? And how does that fit into your strategy?
Yeah, to me, it's always about trying not to wait for people to give me permission. Building the app was a 5-year plan that started when I started the company. I always knew that eventually I wanted to create so much content that I would have the liberty to be able to put it all in one place for people to be able to access, in a way that no other indie person had ever done, before. Because to me, I sort of saw, how, the rise of digital comics. There will always be love for physical content. I don't think that's going. Like, everyone says, "Oh, people are going to start." Like, no, that's not. It's not going to happen. Like, that's just the medium is just to. It's like the reality of holding a book in your hand is, at least in my opinion, isn't something that's going away anytime soon. But that doesn't mean you should ignore how other people are accessing comics, because some people just read only digital now. Especially in the pandemic. So to me, it was about trying to see, okay, what's going to happen in 2 to 3 years, and how can I be ready, when that happens. And honestly, my app is what saved me last year, because I already canceled. So in 2018, I think I did maybe like 20 conventions, and Moana saw me in some of them. She probably saw how tired I was just being there. Like, every time people, like, friends would see me at the country, Roy, are you okay? And I was just gassed
Yep.
from doing, and it was so visibly obvious on my face. Like, so I decided that, in 2020, I'm not doing any cons.
Mhm.
But where's the money going to come from? So that's when I decided to, okay, I need to launch the app late 2019 and have that in 2020. Come to figure out, 2020 happens, COVID happens, and nobody's going to cons anyways. But having the app and having people that were subscribed was literally, for the first like 6 months, the lifeblood of the company. Obviously plus Kickstarter as well. But that got us through some very rough times during the pandemic. And something that I always try to tell people is like, you always want to have 2-year plan, 5-year plan. It's good to be in the present and not overthink too much about the future. But you always got to look at, okay, what's going on in the market right now, and how do we position ourselves in a way where, okay, if things change this way or that way, at least we can try to adapt to something. So yeah, the app was a great thing. Not so much now because obviously the Dockers thing has happened. But everybody on the app has been grandfathered in for now. It's just that if you go on the website, you can't even figure out how, you can't log into you can't sign up for the app right now. That's something that I'll be making some announcements in the future. But please, if anybody's here and is on the app, you're still fine. You can access it, like, as long as you have it. And this is what I was trying to tell people, like, towards the end of last year. I was like, get on the app, I'm sure if you followed me on social media, I advertised the hell out of the app because I knew that the announcement was coming and I was going to have to shut it down. But if you're on the app, you're lucky, you're going to be able to access, all those comics, everything's still going to be going on as well. But I'll be making some announcements in the future about some of the things that we're doing to shape things with this Dark Horse thing moving forward.
You have a lot of different characters in your universe, and Alicia Guys has a question. Which character of yours do you have the strongest connection to?
Oh my God, I get this question all the time, and and Moana, you understand, these are like my children, like behind, these are my kids, man. But because they can't hear me, I will answer. I would. That was very silly. I'm sorry. I will say that to me it fluctuates. Right now, it's really Iyanu, and for the very specific reason that it's really something that pushed me a lot. This was the book that took me the longest to write because of just the amount of world building that it took. Like Iyanu's world is like a mini universe within the YouNeek universe itself. And just being able to create a Black teenage girl as a hero is something that's very special to my heart. Because it's not you don't see that a lot, right? You don't, at least not, right now. And hopefully in the future, you're starting to see more and more of that. But to me, it's just the amount of work it took me to put that together and build the world and the characters and the mythology behind that world, and just the way that the amount of effort and brain power it took to put that together. I think I would say Iyanu, but again, it could change tomorrow. Because before Iyanu, it was Malika, for very good reasons. But yeah, I would say Iyanu for now. But this is something that fluctuates, for me from time to time.
Okay, follow-on question: which character would you like to see in a cinematic movie?
All of them.
Hey, me too.
All of them. I want all of them. But if I had to pick one first, I would say Malika, just because a lot of
badass.
that first of all. But Malika's story is just one that to see a warrior and a queen that has so much power yet could be so vulnerable. As well, is something that I feel like would really play well in like a cinematic, whether that's a TV series or a movie. I think it will have enormous impact. And you saw some of that with the animated short that we released, just the reception
Yes.
to that, and again, not just from, women or Black women, it's like just from everybody, like, everybody could find some part of them in the character. Whether it was, Malika saying, when they said, oh, select your champion, Malika saying, I am my champion. Or even just the goofy things that she was doing, in some parts of the animation as well. Like there's so many parts of her, like she's so dynamic that it's a character that offers a lot of different things for so many different people, and I feel like she's a character that can really carry like a 5-7 season type of show or trilogy of movies, and hopefully. That's something that can become a reality in the future.
Oh my God, I hope so. Please.
Please. I hope so too, and I'm pleased, and I'm begging everybody that can make it happen. I'm saying please as well too. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So one of the things I liked about the way you did the story was you kind of made her sister the antagonist in a way. Because I would have expected them to be allies, but yeah. They were antagonists. How did you decide to do it that way instead of like them being, friends?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I'll try to answer it very not so specifically because I want to give people a chance that haven't read it to read it. But that's a great question. I think it just raises the stakes to a whole different level, and I think there's so much emotional pull that's in that story, where it's like these two people are actually two different sides of the same coin. And it's so heartbreaking the direction that they both go, and how they eventually come to a head. But I will say, if you stick with the series, especially if you go to the later volumes, there is a lot of that dynamic that plays out in so many different ways, and I'm trying not to be too spoilerish.
Yeah,
but no, it's fine. But to answer your question, it's one of the stories I'm most proud of because of just the stakes. There's a lot of stakes in the Malika series, and it's something that's just a constant tug at your heart, and that's what you want to do as a writer is to be able to pull people in and make people have like a vested emotional stake in these characters, and you want their hearts to break, and you want people to have joy as well, and you want to set it up in a way that people can feel like these people are actually real people, because if you can make somebody with a magical sword feel like a real person, you've won, right? Yeah. Because that's what true storytelling is about. Like if you can feel something for Superman, who is this alien character that can literally lift a bus, if you can get the audience to feel some type of emotion, you've won, because it's just these characters are so out of the world. Like when you can bring them to our level, it's just an amazing thing. And I think that's why superhero movies are so successful, is because you have these larger than life characters, and sometimes demigods and gods sometimes, where they're brought down to a level where we can understand them and feel for them, that it's something that you can't just feel in any other type of genre.
It reminds me of the typical sibling rivalry, when you have that you're trying to be your own person, but you're constantly being compared to that other sibling. Exactly. And it's like either I gotta go to complete opposite for mom and dad to pay attention to me instead of paying attention to sis or brother over here. So it's kind of like that element that we can relate to of that sibling rivalry. It's like you look at it, it's like that's me and my sister right there. Yeah.
Except without the sword fighting, or maybe maybe I don't know. Maybe
it might be a version of sword fighting, like with some sticks and stuff and some dogs. Like we all had the moment.
Right.
Yes, right. That's the first thing that came to mind. I said, I don't know about y'all, but me and my sister had sticks. I like to call the oil and vinegar, or oil and water
Right,
Like
right.
some siblings are just oil and water.
Don't mix. They don't mix.
Yes, they don't appreciate themselves sometimes until later in life, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll take one more question from Philip Purdue. How do you feel about your universe, and how are you preparing for the expansion of it?
I feel great. As I said at the beginning, I just feel so grateful to be able to be in this position. I worked hard for it, so that isn't something that obviously I will shy away from. There's a lot of hard work. A lot of people don't know. I got into the comic book industry 2014, 2015. Officially, I started YouNeek Studios in 2016, but I've been making stories since 2008. Like I said, I come from animation. So I put in a good 12 years into trying to get stories out there into the mainstream. So this is something that it's a good step. It's one that was earned. I want if there's anybody out there watching, this moment doesn't come without a whole lot of failure.
Yeah.
I've been in a position where I see an announcement made and I wonder, is it ever going to happen to me? And this is something that recently I'm not, before I'd have been uncomfortable to say, but I think we need to be more honest in the industry, especially in the indie comic book industry. This isn't, I think sometimes, and I've been at fault with this too as well, where we just always only present the good stuff. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. We should celebrate. And like I said, I've been also guilty about this, but let's talk about the bad stuff as well, to be able to prepare people who are trying to come into this, or people that may be at that point, in a career where things are just not going well. So there's been times I've gone to conventions for 2 days, and I sold 2 books. And this is after spending $1,000 in table, $1,000 on transportation, and you're in minus 1,800. I know you know what I'm talking about. There's been, and that has happened multiple times. I've been times where early on I post something on social media and it's just my mom that likes it.
Crickets,
I've been in places where people have swindled me in the industry. There's been times where I've wanted to give up. I've made so many mistakes as well too. And I say this because I know there's people out there who are experiencing one thing or the other. And as much as this is a time to celebrate the Dark Horse announcement, I want to tell people too, look, you just keep working. You just keep on pushing. You never know who's out there. Dark Horse reached out to me on my website. This wasn't somebody that connected me, or I was referred by someone. Just reached out on my website because I just put out consistent work over 6 years, consistently, without stopping. I want to make sure I encourage people out there that obviously we're in a season where you're seeing a lot of announcements now. These people have had to work hard for this, and if they had time to sit down with you, I'm telling you, they could tell you some people failed for 10 years, some people 20, some people have been through so many ridiculous things that you cannot even imagine. So and again, I don't mean to just harp on the negative. I want to make sure that I inform people that, look, this industry is not without its struggles and its share of pain. But you can get through it, and you will get through it. Like I said, you surround yourself with the right people, and you just keep on creating and keep on doing quality work. It's so important. Don't just do things just to do things, or because someone else did it, or because you want to be like someone else. Actually take your time to create something that actually matters, and have a why behind why you're doing this. And please don't let that be money, because you'll be out of here very quickly. Trust me, I'm telling you, if it was about money, I'm telling you, my first con, I'd have, just flipped my table and left after 30 minutes and be like, I can't do this. What is this? I have to stop people and sell this. People aren't just automatically just buying it because it's good. I actually have to stop and talk to people, even though I'm an introvert. And every time I talk to someone, my heart is racing at 100 miles an hour and I'm sweating. And it's like every time I talk to someone, I have to drink like half a gallon of water just to recover. Like I'm telling you, these are fun. I'm telling you,
Yes, this is real, y'all.
yeah, so I would have, I'd have just been like, I'm out of here. I'm going back to being a web developer. I'm waking up websites, But yeah, I think it's important for people to know, like, look, again, for two reasons, like, failure is part of the journey. And also you're not the only one, and your time is going to come as well too. Your time is going to come as long as you just keep working. I'm sorry I went on a rant. I'm so passionate about trying to provide a different perspective to, oh, this happened, everything looks great, but let's not forget what it took to get here, because we need to always remind people as well.
No, I think that's so important. My husband and I talk about this all the time, about how people only see the success and they think it happened overnight. Like, no, these people have been consistently failing for years and years and years and years. And it's all about like pivoting and, finding the things that are not working, trying something else. It's all about being consistent, the grit, the discipline, all of those things. I don't see any of what you said as negative. It's very real. And you want people, if this is a path that they're going to choose to invest their time, money, and resources and time away from their family, like these are the real things that are going to happen to you. And knowing, I think if someone had told me at the beginning, like, this is all going to happen, probably would have felt better. Like, that's what they said. So,
Yeah. And I'll share another. It's a funny story. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. In 2015, when I was really trying to get into animation, even after I released my first graphic novel, E.X.O, I went for an event in France called MIPCOM. So it's a place where you basically go, if you have like an animated shorts, you can go and pitch it to like broadcast. Back then, streaming wasn't very popular, so it's like broadcasters, Cartoon Network, all of them are there. This show costs, first of all, just $2,000 to get a badge, right? And then it's like going to France, it's not cheap, right? You're looking at a ticket that's a minimum $1,000, and then lodging another minimum for 5 days, $1,000. So I spent $4,000 on this trip. Like, I was so broke. I had to take packets of noodles with me to eat when I got there. I didn't go to I probably went to a restaurant once, but I was literally. Because I got an Airbnb, and all I would eat every day when I got back was I would, make the noodles, drink water, and cry myself to sleep, because I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Right. The funny part of this story, because that's a very sad part, is that I went to, so I finally met this producer who was a big shot, and he was like, oh, come to my hotel and, let's have lunch, or whatever the case may be. So first of all, I'm like, oh my God, I don't have money for lunch. How am I going to pay for this? So I got there. I was like, you know what? I'm going to eat like 4 packs of noodles. So I'm not going to be hungry all day. And when I get there, I'm just going to order water. And I get there, and it's like, okay, so he orders like all this different fancy stuff. He's like, what are you going to eat? I'm like, no. It's like, I just grab a bottle of water. I know I ate before I came here. I'm okay. So I'm thinking like, you know what? I'm going to spend like maybe, $2, get a bottle of water. Not thinking, because I was in the Ritz, like that's where he was staying. Mm-hmm. I kid you not, they bring this water, and like when the bill came, it was 20 euros.
What?
And at that point in time, that was literally all I had left. Right. So I had to spend 20 euros on a bottle of water in Cannes, France, and that was literally it, So it's like, it's one of the funniest things. Like, I can laugh about it now. But again, it's part of what these are things that, like I said before, I thought it was shameful to share them, but it's not. Like, I want people to learn from these experiences and also understand what it takes to get to this point, because I feel like you said, if you're equipped and know, like, okay, this is actually what it takes, then you can make a better informed decision about how you want to move forward.
Yeah, definitely. So with all of that in mind, who was the first person you called when the deal was official?
Obviously my wife. Well, I didn't call. We live in the same house. So phone call, I think, let me try to remember. I can't. I think I did a group call to like oh, actually, no. I think it was my mom that I called. I'm sorry, I can't remember. I think it must have been my mom or my sister. And obviously, they were so proud of me. But I think the first person within the industry that I called, I think it must have been Joe Illich, because Joe has been such a gem for me. Joe has been a great mentor, and I will sing his praises for as long as I'm on this God-given earth, because he's somebody that he and also Karama, Blurred Girl, they've been two people, like, from the moment I started, before anybody knew anything about Roy, they have been in my corner, not only supporting me, but also teaching me about how to be a good creator, things to look out for, how to thrive in this industry. And they've also been a sounding board for several ideas that I've had, in the past. So those are two people, that will always have my utmost respect. But even everybody, like, that I'm close to in the industry, like Moana, Greg, who I don't really like a lot, but I hope he's watching, and I hope he can see that I mentioned that I don't really like him for everybody. To hear that, I'm just playing, like, Greg is my brother, but also Maya Crown, Deidrin, Robert Jeffrey, Brandon Easton, like, so there's just so many people. And, I hate mentioning names because, like, once I start, I feel like I have to say everybody. I don't want to forget anybody. Because now I probably forgot TJ, is another one. These are people that have just been, like, as colleagues, have been in my corner and have always supported me no matter what. They've always supported me. And I wanted to make sure I took some time to shout them out as well. Not only are these people super talented and people that I actually look up to, in the industry, they're also just fantastic and great people, as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all. I talk a lot.
No.
Right.
That was great. In addition to those people, who are some other folks that have been influential, like, throughout your life, even before you became a comics creator, and that have helped you, kind of build you into the person that you are now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you look at, everyone that was involved in Milestone, these are people that went before me. I don't think if Milestone didn't happen, YouNeek Studios and Dark Horse wouldn't happen. I think these are people that have paved the way for me, so it's very important to mention those that have come, and not just even Milestone, people like, Jared Kraft and John Jennings, basically trailblazers, and people that have just been doing things so excellently for a very long time, consistently. And I think they've been the ones that have spearheaded the charge. Even people like, Machindo as well, like, and it's like, these are people that they don't get mentioned a lot, but for young Black creators and artists like myself, they're just invaluable. But outside that, something that has been very influential to me is Kevin Feige in the MCU. I'm not ashamed to say that I modeled my universe in terms of just how the MCU is able to craft stories that weave together so brilliantly, but stand alone individually at the same time, without forcing people to watch 5 movies to understand one. These are things that I've learned from, obviously, far away. I don't know Kevin Feige. I wouldn't be here if I did. But Kevin, if you're watching, I love you. Please give me a call. But no, like, just from afar, being, and obviously before that, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and what they were able to put together. I think anybody who loves comics or works in comics will mention those names, as well too. But these are people that I've watched from afar and studied very meticulously, and obviously brought my own spin into what I'm doing. Obviously, there's a lot of authenticity to what I do, as well. So, but I can't deny the fact that from afar, these are people that I've admired and I've tried to take from them to be able to model. To be able to model what I do, because I'll tell you, it's one of the most difficult things trying to build a coherent universe of stories. I thought it was going to be hard going into it. It's very hard, and especially the more books you create, the more difficult it becomes, because there's just so much to account for.
Yeah.
But I'm happy as to where it is right now, and I'm very, very excited for the future, obviously, with this dark horse venture, because not only are we going to be able to have more eyes, there's going to be different types of people that are going to be introduced to this from all over the world, and people are going to experience this from the first time, from the beginning. These are the people that are going to enjoy it the most, because you're going to be able to like September, there's 3 graphic novels going to be launched in the span of 30 days. People that have been following me, you have to wait like 1 year at a time for these graphic novels, and now it's like with this dark horse thing, but I mean that's just what happens. But yeah, it's an exciting time, and I can't wait to even reveal what's to come, because one thing I wanted to clarify as well too is that obviously it's a 10-book deal, and the first couple of books are going to be obviously new editions of the old one. So for instance, the YouNeek Studios Malika Volume 1 and Volume 2, they're going to be combined into Dark Horse Volume 1. But not only that, there's going to be some bonuses that are going to be in that book. So for people that already have those Malika unique editions, the Dark Horse, don't sleep on those Dark Horse editions, because there's going to be different things that are going to be put in there as well. But going into next year, you're going to start to see some new titles and some new reveals as well. And I can't say too much, because this is the ink is still drying on the but just make sure you follow us, YouNeek Studios on all platforms. I love that it's scrolling there, and you'll be the first to know about all these exciting announcements.
Please tell them to make hardcover. I'm such a hardcover fan. Please
I
make
know.
like when you said that there was going to be bonus content, I was like, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, when you talk about other indie creators and stuff, what words of advice would you have for other indie creators looking to seek resources that will allow them to follow a similar path, investing, distributing deals with larger companies?
Right, that's a good question. I think the first thing that I would say is create something that's great. Like, that's, to me, that is your currency in this industry. Is if you do great work, whether it's 1 comic or 5 graphic novels, if you do great work, there's somebody out there that's willing to, whether that's invest or partner with you, or you just go to Kickstarter. Right? I did Kickstarter for 5 years before any of this happened. I've done 10 Kickstarters. Even just saying that with my mouth now, it just sounds like an atrocity, because if anybody, again, Moana, I don't even need to, like, the amount of work it takes to do Kickstarter. And let me just say something about Kickstarter real quick, because there's a lot of misconceptions, and I wish I had more time, because and this is something that I would try to do on my own moving forward, because a lot of people ask me how this, how that. But Kickstarter is not a place to build followers. You bring followers to Kickstarter. And if you want to do a Kickstarter in December, you better start planning it in June. And these are, like, if you understand those two things, you're going to be better than half of the people that put projects on there, because I feel like a lot of people don't put that into account. You need a good 6 months, especially if it's your first project, because what you're going to be doing that 6 months is you're going to create something that's called an MVP. That's your minimum viable project. Basically, it's like, what can I create for the lowest cost that represents my project? So for me, like, if I want to do a 100-page graphic novel, my minimum viable project is a 10-page teaser, or chapter 1, 20 pages. What I want to do with that MVP is that I want to give it out for free on social media, but not just free. I want to tell people, look, if you want this book, join my email list and you can get it for free. You do that for 6 months, try and build like a followership of 500 to 1,000 people who you've given out this free thing to, and you have an email list. What you then do 2 days before a Kickstarter launch, you email them and say, hey guys, the full graphic novel is coming up. Here are some more exclusive images that I haven't shared with anybody else. You're going to get them more excited. And you tell them, look, as soon as I launch this at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, I want you guys to be the first on there. Because guess what? When you go on Kickstarter, if you're just there for the first time and you see 2 projects, I don't care if they're identical, and one of them has 200% or 100% funded or 75% funded in 6 hours, and you have another one that's 10% funded in 5 days, your eye is going to go to the one. It's like, why is this funded in 6 hours, or why is it halfway in 5 hours? Like, that's just, unfortunately, human beings, that's just the way our mind works. We want to be attached to success. So when you get your fans to go in there and get you to like 50% in the first 6 hours, then it's easier for all the other people who are just on Kickstarter to say, like, I want to be part of this, or I'm going to step up my, my, I don't know, was it pedestal or whatever the case may be. Let me go back to the original question, which was the advice. That was just bonus advice. I would say, like, just focus on trying to create great products, because that's your currency, because great products attracts great people, whether that's 1,000 Kickstarter backers or just one investor. And, I think if you continuously put your stuff out there, if it's good, people are going to share it. People are going to follow you. People are going to want to know more. And the more you do that, the more consistently you build a followership. And when you get to the point where you're starting to have 1,000, 5,000 followers or 1,000 people on your email list, that's a fan base. Mm-hmm. And when people hear you have a fan base, it's easier to really start to build on top of that. Think of it as a snowball. Like, initially when you throw it down, it's this tiny thing, but the more it rolls, the bigger it gets.
Yeah, that's great advice. I hope y'all are listening, taking notes. Taking notes. It's in the email. Get around the algorithms. That's the hard part about social media. If you're not, doing the ads and putting in the money, and you might not be able to, depending on where you are in your comic journey. You might not have the, we might be eating noodles, right? Like, we trying to be out here and do what we can.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with noodles. I still eat them. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Me too. Hey, I grew up on noodles, so I am not knocking a noodle. All right. So one more question, and I think this is a really important one. So one of the things I noticed about this particular deal is that you were able to retain your creative control, which is just amazing. Yeah. How were you able to do that? Like, because I know for a lot of people, when they, have these deals, they lose the creative control, and then it becomes watered down. It goes away from your vision, and it's just not as powerful as you wanted it to be. So tell us a little bit how you did that.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm glad you asked that, because that's something that I wanted to address. I've seen a lot of people ask questions like, well, I hope he kept his creative control. And I want to say to those people, I do understand your concern, because we have seen things like this happen where, there's an announcement made, and then the thing that you fell in love with, isn't the same, because obviously there's, different hands in it as well too. And I will say that, sometimes, again, this wasn't an option for me. Like, some people that give up creative control, I want us not to be too quickly to bash them, because we don't know what went into that negotiation. We don't know whether that's just something the person needed to do as an initial to get their foot in the door, so that they can do something else that they do have creative control over. I think we need to, as a community, be very careful to just jump on people for doing things that we wouldn't necessarily do. I see a lot of this as well, where it's like, oh, he did that, oh, he must be this, or he must be that. Yeah. Now, there are times where we need to drag people for obvious reasons, don't get me wrong. But, more often than not, you just don't know what someone else is going through. So we have to be very careful, and also give people a chance to explain themselves as well. But that's beside the point. Like, for me, 2 things. Number one, first of all, Dark Horse is a great company. And they never asked for creative control from the beginning. It wasn't something I had to fight for. And I want to make sure I say this, because, there's a way that people can look at this as, oh, here comes the mainstream publisher, and, they're going to do this and going to do that. But I'll be remiss if I don't talk about the excellence that they've also approached this. this deal as well, because they want this to be successful, and they understand for this to be successful, it has to be authentic. It
Yes.
cannot, especially with something like this, it has to be and they're very smart people at Dark Horse, and they understand that. So from the very jump, it was, look, Roy, and it's not that they don't offer suggestions or they don't guide me, because look, I don't know everything. And that's the mentality I always have with everything that I do. Roy, you don't know everything. I think anybody that feels like there's nothing else to learn is somebody that is really heading for a brick wall very soon, because there's never a point in your life where you stop learning. So there's times where doctors have said, I don't know about this. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but is this something that you may want to change? And there's two ways that goes. No, I don't want to change it, or oh, I didn't realize this. This is what I'm going to do. But rest assured, like, I still maintain creative control over, the stories, and it's part of the reasons why I'm very grateful to be part of a company like Dark Horse that has the foresight to be able to say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this the right way. We're going to keep the authenticity as well. And I also want to say that obviously, with the tragedy that happened last year with George Floyd and the whole Black Lives Matter movement, becoming something that was just incredibly explosive for very good reasons. Although Black Lives Matter has existed for years before that, there were a lot of companies that were put under pressure to like hire diversity, do diversity hires or do more Black stories. Dark Horse approached me in 2019 before that public mainstream outcry for the Black Lives Matter movement and hire more Black creatives and all that. So I think they also need to be commended on that as well, even having the foresight before all that happened to be able to say, this is something that we want to do. This is something that we want to help bring to a larger market as well.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's great context. And I did recall you mentioning that in one of the articles. So thanks for speaking on that. And shout out to Dark Horse Comics for giving, Roy a chance to, expand his network and his universe and providing the critical resources that we need. And I'm just so excited for your success. And the larger path that you'll be blazing for the rest of us who will be coming behind you, soon. So
amen to that.
Definitely. All right. Well, I think that's the end of our time. I don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything else you want to tell folks before we sign off for the night?
No, I mean, just continue to watch this space, because like just the guests you've been bringing on, like what people have to say is very important in this industry. And I want to thank you, you guys, for putting this together and bringing such amazing guests. And I look forward to seeing, some of the other people that you bring on board, because like there's a lot of diverse voices in the indie comic space, and they deserve to have a platform where they can express more and talk more about their projects and things that they're working on. I just think this is a fantastic venture that you guys have put together, something that I'm very proud of, like, of what you're doing, Moana specifically, because obviously we go back as well, so I want to just congratulate you on this, and please don't stop doing it. A lot of us in the industry are very grateful for this, because I know you have your own stuff that you're working on. I don't know how you do this and do that. I mean, I can't do it. Like honestly, like I tried to do an Instagram live the other day, and just thinking about it, I quit. Like just thinking about, okay, I have to set it up, I have to put out a flyer, I have to tell this is what I'm going to talk. I can't do it. So I can't even imagine doing this and my own stuff. So I want to commend you on that, and please don't stop. Please continue to do that, and let me know in any way that I can help. I would love to come back and talk some more. Hopefully by then I have even more bigger news as well to share.
Oh, absolutely. We would definitely welcome you back anytime. And we have some panels that we're kind of planning,
Awesome.
like throughout the year, trying to pace myself. Dana's
Please
been
do.
amazing at, like, she's the magic behind a lot of this too.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
And just trying to keep me like, okay, we shouldn't be doing it in this month. We have too many things going on. And I'm like, you're right. Let me pace myself. Okay.
Right.
All right. So if folks want to buy stuff even before it comes out on Dark Horse, can they still get it from you?
No. So again, I warned people last year, and I couldn't say why, because I was telling people, look, if you want to get these books, you better do it now. But you can pre-order it. That's a good thing. It's like, so if you go to YouNeekStudios.com, yeah, you're the lucky one, because that's you're never going to see those editions ever again. So I'm happy for everyone that was able to get those YouNeek Studios self-published editions, because trust me, it's done and it's gone. But yeah, if people want to get the books, they're available for pre-order. Or obviously, Malika Volume 1 comes out first in September, then Ianu in September of Volume 1 as well, and then E.X.O Volume 1 in October. But now you can pre-order it. Just go to YouNeekStudios.com and click on shop, and then it's to redirect you to the Penguin Random House website, where you can actually pre-order the books. And yeah, like, I know it's not sexy to pre-order, but it does help. Like, so if it's something that that you're actually going to want to read, then it'll help going to pre-order, because we've all been crying, we want to see more diversity in mainstream, and now it's here, and now it's here in droves. It's not just one comic. Like, you're talking about graphic novels upon graphic novels. You're talking 10 books over the next few years. So please, for everybody that has been shouting that we want this, we want more of this, please, I'm begging you. I did this for you, so don't let me down. Don't let me down. And Moana, I'll be expecting those Matrix statues in the mail, as soon as possible. I wanted to put that on live TV. So I'm just kidding. I can't stop looking at it. I want
so just for you.
Oh man, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. We really appreciate you coming on. We know your time is valuable, even more so now, because you got to create this greatness. You're a full-time creator now. Lots of congratulations coming in from the audience. And we've had great viewership during this episode. So thank you. And Morgan's like, thanks for.
Yeah.
So yes, from your fellow indie creators, thank you so much for leading the charge, and we look forward to joining you on the podium soon.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right, guys. So follow Roye on social media at YouNeek Studios, all platforms. Follow myself at The Real Life Moana on Instagram, and Dana at Danike Events. And of course, support the podcast, subscribe on YouTube. Okay, yeah, so we're trying to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube. We haven't been pushing it a lot, so I know people are watching and just not subscribing. So we're going to try to be good about calling you guys to action. So go ahead to the YouTube channel, subscribe, go to our Facebook page, subscribe. Thank you so much. It helps us with our algorithms too, to expand the reach, just like with comics and everything else in this social media space. But thank you guys.
We're also on Twitch, so you can also follow us on Twitch. We're trying to build our platform on Twitch. We just launched ourselves on Twitch, so please, if you are a person that's more on Twitch than any of the other platforms, follow us right there so you can see us live on Twitch also.
Awesome. Thanks, Dana. All righty, guys. We hope everyone's doing well. Take care. Be safe. Be kind. And most importantly, go pre-order those books.
Yeah.
See you guys later. Ahui ho.